Now moving on, Iran's Judiciary Chief Gholam-Hossein Mohseni-Ejei has said that those who accompany the enemy in any way are considered to be among the enemies and must be dealt with decisively and severely. The comments by Gholam-Hossein Mohseni-Ejei come with the Middle East war in its fifth day after U.S.-Israeli strikes first hit Iran on last week. Listen in.
کردیم که کسانی که با دشمن به هر نحوی از آنها الان همراهی بکنن اینا جزو دشمن محسوب میشه. الان می‌بینید زمان جنگ هستش. اعلام جنگ کردن رسمی. جنگ را شروع کردن. اگر کسانی هر لفظی هر عملی که در راستای با خواست این دشمن جنایتکار یعنی آمریکا و رژیم صهیونی باشه انجام بدن اونها در خط دشمن هستن و باید با همون مبانی انقلابی و اسلامی و در زمان جنگ با اونها برخورد بشه که
And now joining us again is Dr. John Harrison, fellow at RSDI, joining us from Abu Dhabi. Sir, in your own words, what exactly does this mean? Must be dealt with decisively and severely. Do you have any context onto the extent of which the enemy must be dealt with decisively and severely, please?
Well, Rashan, what they're certainly talking about is both external opponents to the regime, both members of the potential members of the GCC and obviously the Israelis and the Americans. But also there has been clear evidence that the regime itself, to the very highest levels, has been penetrated by Israeli intelligence. And this is not just in the lead up to this strike, but certainly for the last decade, Israeli intelligence has been able to operate seemingly at will across Iran. So it seems like the regime itself has some major problems with counterintelligence. And I think what they're trying to say is that anybody who they accuse of being on against the regime is certainly from their perspective on the wrong side of history and will be dealt with whatever the appropriate measures are. But it looks like there's considerable opposition within the country and also within the senior leadership. So I'm not sure how effective any response like that will actually be.
With the supreme leader now essentially dead and out of the picture and out of the question, how do you believe that Iran will rebuild, please?
Well, certainly he's not essentially dead. He is dead.
Yes.
But what we do know, I think, is that no matter what happens with this strike, the Iranian regime as we know it is finished. What that looks like after the war is obviously remains to be seen. But it is going to be facing fundamental and existential change. And while they have been preparing for this for the last 47 years, certainly I don't think they were prepared at all for the swiftness of the strike and the fact that the regime has been so penetrated. We've seen opposition protests over the last number of years. Some have been very big at times, and the leadership has been able to use violence to remain in power. But that doesn't seem to be anything that they're going to be able to maintain for any length of time. So the regime will change. What that means and what that looks like is at this point unknown.
In your opinion, who do you think will essentially come to aid of Iran? I know Iran has done business with China. Essentially, their oil exports do go to China. But will China jump into the equation here with the threat of the U.S.? Who do you think will help them out when they're planning to rebuild?
Correct. I mean, there are two nations that obviously will be important to Iran at this stage and anything in the future. You mentioned China already, and Russia as well. Neither is going to be in a position that they can do much in terms of conventional military support. It doesn't mean neither nation can actually provide some sort of political or material support to Iran, but it's going to be very difficult for them. Both will need to do something to show potential allies and partners around the world that aligning with China and Russia will actually have a benefit of some sort. Any reconstruction of Iran and what that's going to look like it's pure speculation at this point. Who's going to be involved in that, and much of that will be up to whomever is part of whatever coalition develops, and also what the Iranian government that would come in after this would say.
Whilst I have you as well, I'd love your thoughts on what's happened in Texas, a very unfortunate incident with a man essentially wearing an Iranian flag shirt has essentially, I'll stop using the word essentially, but has murdered some civilians in Texas. Do you have any words on that situation, please?
I haven't seen the details of the situation, so I probably can't comment in detail. But generally speaking, we have certainly seen around the world protests. There are very strong emotions on both sides of the issue. So it would not be unexpected that both Iran as a state would try to use proxies both in the region and across the world, but also individuals who feel a particular loyalty to the regime may take action upon themselves. So I don't think this will be the last time we see something like this. The question will always be, is this supported and directed from a state, or is this an individual actor who is willing to take on these violent acts to advance whatever cause they particularly have?
Okay. Please stay with us, sir. We'll be right back with you.